So today, we're playing the Reaper. Twice. As we have two Empower stacking runs today. Our first run involves a Prismatic sword with a ruby chunk. And our second involves the Broken Hardwood skill with some wooden swords. Can we survive? Can we deal that damage? Our opponent is going to be removing our buffs. But we got our Empower stacked up. And it should be crazy good from here. But hey, check this run out and let me know what you think of this build. Okay, let's go and jump some games with the Reaper and see just what we can do today. Okay, pretty decent round one. I'm going to be grabbing our wooden sword. I'm actually going to grab a health pot. I'm going to roll. And I actually do want to grab this whetstone. That should be fantastic. And I do kind of want to grab a brand new wooden sword. Now I'm going to roll. And we're going to want this banana. And we're going to want this leather bag. But for now, let's go ahead and move on. Now, decent round one. Double wooden swords. With a whetstone. With a health pot. We should get a good bit of healing. And it should be fantastic overall. However, our opponent is going to have a lot of DPS with that Empower and those weapons and that Water Tusk with overall smashing. Just pausing the video here very quickly just to ask you to subscribe. It really helps me out. Thanks. Now let's get back to the video. Not too bad whatsoever. I'm going to grab the leather bag, grab our big old banana, which does mean you actually can't craft up, or we can't take this wooden sword. So unfortunately I'm going to roll once, and that is just craziness, for sure. To the point where I'm going to sell our garlic in favor of actually craft this up. And we're going to move straight on. And I actually do want to reserve his healing herbs, that way we can craft up a strong health pot. But unfortunately, losing our garlic, we did lose a little bit of our defenses. But we did want to craft up this hero sword this round. However, are we going to be able to deal with this opponents? They are rocking a broom, wooden buckler, with their own health pot. It's just not a normal health pot, but it is going to keep them alive, potentially, long enough. Actually, no, we got to smash them down. So not too bad overall. Now with that, we're going to be grabbing a hero sword. Place them beside this brand new wooden sword. I'm actually going to roll. And we can get back our garlic for super cheap. So we got extremely lucky. Now I'm going to roll once more. And I'm going to want this leather bag. Now the problem is, dual wooden swords, our stamina is going to be a huge issue. However, with the relic case, we have the potential to use up a lot less stamina throughout the fight. So eventually this will all decrease, sorting itself out. So it should actually be pretty good. And overall, smashing. Okay, and with that, I'm going to go for smithing for dummies. Because it's going to give us that whetstone. It's also going to decrease the stamina usage on a hero sword. So let's go ahead and grab that. Now with that, we're going to grab this bag. I'm going to roll, and I'm going to roll until I find another whetstone. So let's keep it going for now. And there we go. So we're going to have to wait another round to grab that. I'm actually going to grab another garlic. And have her set up to be more like this. And this should be pretty good. And these wooden swords should have a lot of damage. And this hero sword should use up a lot less stamina. So overall, we should be in a pretty good spot right now. With overall DPS. However, our opponent is going to be crafting another staff. That shell totem is going to be providing a lot of health. And honestly, this garlic is stacking up a lot of block. It's honestly way too overtuned, especially since we have scaling damage with a relic case and even have a lot of flat damage. Our DPS right now is actually really awesome. I just want to check just how much DPS we actually had though. So we're after dealing 240 damage in this round, where our HP is 55. Because our opponent actually had 8 block per second with 4 garlics and a smelly wall. So unfortunately, there's just not much we can do about that. Let's get a hero longsword. Let's go ahead and grab the stamina stack. Let's go ahead and roll once. And I'm going to want to move on. We craft this up. We should be in a good spot. And we'll see what we can do from here. Our opponent is rocking shielded, but it's not going to be that great with the leather armor because it is a start battle. They kind of want to get a vampiric armor. So it's going to be looking pretty good for us. Now if we come across someone with a shield, our stamina could be pretty bad. But not too bad. Going to begin that specific character. Now we got a hero longsword, which is going to use up a little bit more stamina, but it is going to give our wooden swords a lot more DPS. I'm going to roll. We could grab that armor, but I'm going to grab the box of riches. Now I'm going to roll. We could grab this blue sapphire, but I don't exactly want to. I want to keep going, and that is a toad. I'm going to grab the toad. I do want to grab this deck of cards. I want to grab a leather bag because I'm going to want to start stacking up a lot of buffs with misfortune. The buffs we do want to stack up is going to be in power. However, our opponent right now is running Goobert with a lot of goblins, so they're going to get a ton of health, a ton of healing, but overall, our DPS right now is pretty good. So let's grab this for now. Let's go ahead and grab this. What's it going to give us? The reverse card. Let's go ahead and take it because that is going to give us some buffs. And I'm going to roll once. Now I'm actually going to want to reserve its healing herbs because we're going to stack up regen. Look for a hard container. That's going to give us some power. That should be awesome. However, we're going to move on. Now our opponent is rocking slime time again with a bunch of stones. So they're actually going to have a good bit of DPS too, which also going to have a lot of healing. However, so far not looking too bad even with that shield. So not too bad. And now we're going to have to choose a subclass. And with that, I'm going to go for Mr. Struggles. Because I do want Misfortune. And I want to be turbo stacking our regen. Now I'm going to roll. That's a Hollow Fire Lizard, which we could craft up in a Ruby Chunk. And with Prismatic for Dummies, that could honestly be pretty darn good. Now it does mean we're going to turbo stack heat, which is not exactly what I want to actually turbo stack. I'm going to sell this card for now. Move this over. Add this in. Sell a garlic. Grab these topazes for now. And let's hold on to these. And we're going to move on. Now we're going to have our Mr. Struggles target our Hero Longsword. With Misfortune, we might actually want to target something else unless we turbo stack Luck. We're turbo stacking that regen, which is going to keep us alive for quite some time as we have that flat damage. So overall, this should be pretty good. However, stamina's taking a bit of an issue, but overall, smashing. Okay. We got ourselves a hard container, which is straight up craziness for sure. However, we're going to have to take the ruby egg for now. We're going to take a Hollow Fire Lizard. That's a flame badge. I'm going to roll once. And we're going to want the storage. But it does mean for right now, we're going to be turbo stacking heats, increasing the speed of our weapons. We might take out a garlic for that healing. And the box of riches we can't exactly add in. So unfortunately, we're going to roll on. And we'll see how this goes for now. Are we going to continue to turbo stack our regen? Nah, we're going to turbo stack our heat, which is going to increase the speed of our weapons, which is going to harm our stamina, especially going to begin a shield as well. So unfortunately, there's just not much we can do against this opponent, especially for turbo stacking our heats. We spent a lot of gold getting this dragon, but it is what it is. Now, I did want to get hardwood. That's why I kept the wooden swords for so long, but unfortunately, we didn't quite get it. So I'm thinking we're probably going to go for the Power of the Moon. That way fatigue starts a bit earlier. Once fatigue starts, we get a big burst heal. Let's go ahead and grab it for now. Now, unfortunately, I did really want to go for hardwood. We had a perfect setup for it, but unfortunately, just kind of fell short. Now, I'm going to keep adding in topazes as much as we can. We can add this back in. Unfortunately, we can't grab a hard container, so we're going to grab another set of healing herbs. We're going to roll. That's a Heart of Darkness, which we're going to want to grab. But for now, let's take this out. Let's go ahead and add this in. Let's add in a regen. And that's what we're going to do for this round. Just a bunch of stamina, so our weapons can keep targeting, keep attacking, especially if you're increasing that heat. And stamina is going to be less likely to be a problem. However, eventually it's going to run down because stacking up heats is going to be absurd, and our opponent is going to have a ton of healing without Nocturnal Locklifter, so this could be problematic. Because we know healing reduction, so unfortunately we're going to bleed another life. So since we're not going to have hardwood, we're probably going to sell this wooden sword, unfortunately. It is what it is. Going to craft up that ruby chunk. Let's add this back in. Let's add in our banana. And we're going to grab a hard container. I'm thinking we sell our box of riches. And a garlic. And we're going to craft this up. And we're going to start by taking Mrs. Struggles. And we could take that shields if we do want to. And start going for that moon shields. We're going to rock on with the setup. And we should be in a little bit better spot if we're stacking up heats. Our stamina's not going to be as much of an issue with 2 weapons. So it could be pretty good. We got our regen stacked up, giving us more life, giving us more healing. But unfortunately, it's going... Actually, that big burst heal from the Power Moon. Still just not enough, unfortunately. However, once you got a ruby chunk, we should be in a much better spot because that's not going to be stacking up heat anymore. And we're going to be stacking up that power. Now we're going to grab this bag. Going to grab this for now. Let's roll. Let's keep rolling. And I'm also going to grab this too. Now with that, we're going to move on. And we'll see how this gets on for now. Now our opponent is going to try to burst us down, so this could be problematic. We're going to be punished pretty hard from big burst builds. But we'll see. We're stacking up that in power. And all of a sudden we're dealing crazy damage. Here so dealing almost 40 DPS, with that Ruby Chonk dealing quite a bit of damage too. And overall, smashing. Now we're going to want another Toad, we're also going to want another Misfortune, we're going to want to roll, and we're going to need this storage too. And we're going to have our Toads in this situation for right now. That should be pretty much awesome. Going to sell our banana to roll once. That's all we can really do, and as long as we're not turbo stacking mana from our Toads, we should be in a pretty good spot. And we could honestly grab the Impractical Large Greatsword, place it into, but we're going to rock on with this setup. And we're eventually going to turbo stack that Empower like crazy, increasing our damage significantly, and overall smashing. Really fantastic. And actually, we could craft up a Prismatic Sword with this setup. And I'm thinking that's exactly what we're going to do. So let's continue straight away. Now we could have prioritized actually moving our Prismatic Orb, so we actually get a ton of value from dark items. That's probably what we should have done, but so far, it's not looking too bad. We're going to get pretty good DPS and overall. Awesome. We did survive. I just want to check just how much DPS we're actually doing. About 40 DPS in total, which is only going to get better with a Prismatic Sword. As for heals, non-existent really. Block, really not great. So we do need to get a lot stronger if we're going to make this work. And with that, we're actually going to grab our Heart Container. We could craft up Darksaber to be honest, but don't exactly want to do that. We could grab a Mana Orb. I'm tempted to actually grab this Bloody Amulet because that is going to be Vampirism, but I'm not going to grab it for now. We're actually going to grab this Fanny Pack. Let's move again. One more time, and we are going to want this storage pretty badly. And we could potentially craft up a second Heart of Darkness, which would be fantastic. But the problem is, right now, we can either lose our Powered Veil, we can lose some Healing Herbs, but we do need to stack up that regen till we get that in power, so it is going to be super important to actually keep this out for this round. Now, Prismatic Sword is going to be in this position for right now. And eventually, we're going to want to place in a holy item, like this Heart Container, so we get scaling damage. But honestly, with this setup, it should be a ton of damage, and especially if we're going to be stacking up... Actually, we're going to reserve this Undead for Damnate. Especially if we're going to be stacking up a ton of Empower. And we'll see how this goes for now. Can we survive? Can we deal that damage? Our opponent is going to be removing our buffs. But we got our Empower stacked up, and it should be crazy good from here. And overall, smashing. Because DPS wise, that Prismatic Sword dealing 58 DPS, Hero Longsword dealing about 30, and then Ruby Chonk dealing about 50. Our DPS has basically doubled, which is awesome. So we are definitely going to grab this leather bag, because we're going to want to add this in like so. Now the problem is, I kind of want to keep this as a Heart Container to get a little bit of scaling damage, but come on, more Empower. We're definitely going to craft that up. Now let's go ahead and grab this. What's it going to be? Damned Feasting. Honestly, we're going to sell it instantly. I'm going to roll. Don't exactly want any of these items, so let's keep going for now. Keep it going. That's a Corrupted Crystal, which we could honestly take for a final dark item for a Prismatic Sword. That way we're going to be having a crazy chance to be inflicting those debuffs. I think we will, but we're going to move on with the setup for now. So we're going to be turbo inflicting debuffs, while also stacking up our damage with Empower, so this could actually be pretty good. We'll see now, our opponent has actually removed their buffs, and we're going to be stacking up heats, and that's actually going to be a big problem for us. However, with a Ruby Chonk, literally took over, smashing down. Because with extra heats, it's going to be stunning our opponent, so overall, actually pretty good. And surprisingly, if you stack up heats, the damage is also going to be pretty good. And overall, smashing. This is working out surprisingly well. And we could take the Meneki Neku because that is actually, technically, a holy item. It is on sale. We could grab it, place it in here, and that is a crazy amount of gold for Meneki Neku, which would make our godly and unique items trigger a little bit faster, which is a ton of value. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And the problem is, I kind of wanted our Corrupted Crystal to be in there, but we could take this Power of the Moon out, place in the Corrupted Crystal. That way, we're going to get a 72% chance to inflict 3 random debuffs on here. Which sounds amazing, actually. Well, let's go ahead and roll. We can grab another Toad and another Misfortune, which is going to be fantastic overall. I'm actually going to switch this in here for now, so this Heart of Darkness should be triggering a bit faster. And honestly, we're going to move on with this setup. Now the reason why I have our misfortune out like this is so our toads are actually tagging it, because whenever these use buffs, we gain that luck and mana back. So overall this should be fantastic. And we're going to move on. Now with 3 toads, we could end up being in the realm of actually we could get turbo leaded and instantly, yeah. Hardwood, crit chance. This sort of build, completely broken. 160 DPS in a couple of seconds. So unfortunately, there's not much we can do about that. It is what it is. And we're going to grab our misfortune. We're going to grab this toad. We're going to roll. Unfortunately, we're going to have to grab this little bit of storage. We're going to roll once again. One more time. And unfortunately, we're going to have to grab this bag. So we're going to have to say goodbye to either misfortune or our toad. I'm going to say goodbye to our toad for now, because I can place our misfortune in this position, which is going to be fantastic for our toads, which overall should be awesome. Now we're going to see, is this actually going to be good enough, or is it going to fall short? Let's roll once more. Hall Fire Lizard. But yeah, we're going to leave it like this for now. Prismatic Sword into Mr. Struggles into Hero Longsword, Ruby Chunk. Honestly, this has worked out surprisingly well. So let's see. Is it going to fall short? Can we beat his final opponents? Are they going to burst this down? They are going to run a Cursed Dagger type build with a Mana Thirst. And we'll see. We're stacking up that in power. They're inflicting those debuffs. We're also inflicting those debuffs too. And so far, our build is looking pretty decent. But it could be more worse. They're stacking up a lot of mana. But our damage on a Prismatic Sword is scaling up. With that in power, along with a Hero Sword, along with a Ruby Chunk. However, our accuracy is slowly decreasing. However, it's not going to matter too much. And actually, awesome. With almost 100 DPS Prismatic Sword, which is genuinely crazy. With 27 DPS Hero Longsword and a nearly 80 DPS Ruby Chunk. Now the actual true values of that DPS, because accuracy is a thing, and our accuracy was about 50%, and 50%, so our true DPS was about 48 DPS overall, which is not too bad. But if we actually had that 100% accuracy with a Prismatic Sword, and we're able to keep up with the stamina, that's literally how much damage this Prismatic Sword would actually be doing. Which is absurd. 100 DPS, 80 DPS, really, really awesome. We're also inflicting those debuffs with a Prismatic Sword, so overall. But anyways, I'm going to leave it here for now. Just want to say thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, or even consider subscribing. And I hope you keep looking for the next one. See you next time. Okie dokie, let's go and jump some games with the Reaper and see just what we can do today. Now actually, pretty good shop. I'm going to grab a stone, but I'm going to roll. That's a leather bag on sale, which we're going to have to grab even though we have a ton of storage. Let's go ahead and grab the sweatstone. Let's go ahead and grab our sword. Let's go ahead and add in our stone. And this is going to be round 1. Now, really not great because we spent money on storage. But when you see one on sale for 2, kind of had to grab it. That's the inner greed in me. However, with 2 swords, whetstone, garlic, we should have a decent opportunity to win. So it shouldn't be too bad overall. Now actually, I do kind of want to grab a banana, but I'm going to want to roll to craft up a hero sword. Going to grab the stone, going to grab the gloves, going to roll. Going to roll again, and there we go. The problem is though, we've got ourselves gloves, which you can't really use right now, unfortunately. We're going to target our garlic. We're going to move on with the setup because if we increase the speed of our wooden sword, we won't be able to keep our stamina going unless we had a banana. So unfortunately, it's going to target our garlic, just increasing a little bit, trying to stack up that block. But unfortunately, our opponent right now is just dealing too much damage with that frying pan. So we're going to fall short. Now we're actually going to craft up that hero sword. And we're actually going to grab this bag of stones. Once you craft up that hero sword, we should be in a fantastic spot. We're going to reserve this leather bag. We're going to move this to this side, and we're going to move on. 3 gold left in our backpack that we're not using up. Now our opponent is using another frying pan with a wooden sword, with a lump of coal. So they could actually have a lot of DPS. They also have a ton of HP that we're going to have to break through. But if they had the same amount of HP, we actually would have smashed them down pretty fast. However, that HP is actually making it super close. And we barely survived there. Holy moly. Did we barely survive. And actually, I'm thinking we're going to go for smithing for dummies, because that's going to give us an extra whetstone. We could go for smelly wall, because that is all about block and making our garlic give us more blocks. However, I'm actually going to go for smithing for dummies, because I'm going to craft up a hero longsword. We're going to grab this too. We're going to grab another stone. Let's go and grab a big old banana and let's roll. Now I'm thinking I'm going to grab this leather bag, and I'm tempted to actually take this wooden sword. And we could keep our options open for a falcon blade, but I'm actually going to sell the gloves, which is kind of strange. But I'm going to roll again, looking for that whetstone. But unfortunately, we're going to move on. With this setup for now, I'm going to take out a wooden sword. We're going to prioritize the whetstone on this wooden sword, because it's going to attack a little bit faster. Because this is going to be a little bit better anyway. It's going to have a lot more damage from a hero sword, but unfortunately your opponent is going to make it super close because you're stacking up a lot of spikes. So unfortunately, we're going to fall short, and holy moly, is this going to be hero longsword for sure. We're going to switch this to this side, have this set up. Let's craft up that hero longsword, and that is going to be awesome. Now I'm tempted to buy even more storage and being super greedy with storage. We're going to want to reserve this on den for amulet. And we're also going to grab leather boots since they're on sale. And we're going to move on. And once we get a hero longsword in, we should be in a fantastic spot because we're going to have a lot more DPS overall. And especially with our stones too. So we should be dealing a flat, good bit of damage. However, are we going to be able to deal with this opponent? They do have damage mitigation. They also have a ton of healing. They're also inflicting up blinds, which is going to be super problematic. But overall, smashing for us. And with that, we got a hero longsword, which is going to be amazing. We're going to grab this too, damn it life. Honestly, not too bad. I'm going to grab this because that's going to give us some power. It's also going to give us luck. And that should be awesome. Now I'm going to roll. I'm actually going to want to grab this deck of cards. Now if we didn't sell our gloves, we could have actually went for crossblades, which would have been fantastic also. And we're actually going to change our setup around to be more like this. That way we have our wooden swords in a relic case. We have our smithing for dummies targeting a hero longsword. And we have our stones targeting our hero longsword. So overall, we should have pretty good DPS in total. The problem is our stamina is going to be a huge issue. But we should be able to smash our opponent before it becomes a massive issue. Now is there any of these items we actually do want to grab? We could start to grab hunger blades, especially for smithing for dummies. But I'm not going to grab it. However, I will grab another stone. I'm actually going to grab Toad too, because I'm going to go for Mr. Struggles and I'm going to be turbo stacking some buffs. Now we do want to continue to roll. That's a pair of gloves, which we could have actually went for that falcon blade, crossblades, and we're going to want this extra banana. Let's go ahead and take it. And we're going to move on with this setup. This should be pretty good overall, and we'll see. Just what I can do from now. So we should have luck, so it means we're going to have 100% accuracy. Now our opponent is also running a bagstone setup, but our DPS should be way better than theirs, and overall, awesome. Now we have to choose your subclass. And like I said, I'm going to go for Mr. Struggles because I do want to grab Misfortune, and I'm going to be turbo stacking some buffs. Let's grab it. We got ourselves Mrs. Struggles, which is kind of crazy. And speaking of crazy, we could go for Prismatic Sword, but that's not exactly what I want to do today. So we're going to have our Mr. Struggles target our banana along with our hero sword for right now. We're going to reserve our Mr. Struggles, but I'm going to roll once. And that's double Mr. Struggles, but I'm only going to grab one. And we could potentially grab a flutes instead of the garlic because that is going to be block anyway. It's going to be more luck generation, so let's take it for now. And we'll see. Now as long as we don't turbo stack luck with Misfortune, we want to be turbo stacking either regen or empower, but unfortunately our opponent is actually going to lose. It looked crazy bad for us. We actually managed to turn it around on him. Now let's go ahead and grab Misfortune. Doesn't mean you can't grab Mr. Struggles unless we sell something. And we're actually going to take the Lover's card. That is a Ruby Chunk if you do want to grab one, which would be fantastic. With smithing for dummies. But unfortunately, I'm going to let it go for now. We're actually going to reserve this. Roll once more. And that's a full card, which I actually do want. Because I do really want to be stacking Empower. So I'm actually going to sell this, and we're going to have Empower in. Now the problem is, this is only going to be one Empower, which is going to be problematic. Because we're going to be turbo stacking luck. From our deck of cards. But we'll see how this goes for now. We're going to have that luck. It's going to use that luck. We're going to be turbo stacking luck, which means we're going to have, honestly, 100% accuracy on all our weapons. Which is not really super fantastic, but when you're going to begin a blind build, it is crazy good. And honestly, at this point, we're going to take hardwood. Because we've got two wooden swords, we've got a hero longsword, and we're going to try to turbo stack in power. So let's go ahead and take it for now. Let's take Mrs. Struggles. Let's go ahead and roll. That's another Mrs. Fortune, which we're going to have to grab. But let's roll again. Now I'm going to sell bananas so we can actually grab this leather bag. And right now, with Miss Fortune's in, we're going to be turbo stacking luck, which is not super ideal. But unfortunately, we're going to move on. And we're going to want a hard container, and we're going to want to potentially get healing herbs. But again, we're turbo stacking them, which is not great. But it is what it is. And our hero, wooden swords, dealing quite a bit of damage, but not enough to deal with Excalibur, unfortunately. Our DPS went up to about 30 DPS, which is kind of awesome, especially with this setup. And we could take that unsettling presence, but we're not going to take it. We could take an extra wooden sword, but again, I'm not going to take it. Now, we could honestly take this bloody amulet, because that would literally turbo stack Vampirism. So I'd much rather stack Vampirism rather than look right now. So I'm going to roll again and again. And we're going to want to grab this leather bag. And we'll see. Are we going to be able to turbo stack our Vampirism? Because once we use our luck, yeah, stacking up that Vampirism, then we're going to have a ton of healing. And should be pretty darn good. Let's grab this leather bag. Let's grab the stone. Let's go ahead and roll. And we're going to want these healing herbs. And let's roll again. And actually, we're going to want a second bag of stones. We're going to sell the banana. We're going to flip this over. We're going to actually put this in here for now. You can move this in here. Now, unfortunately, we just can't really have it up again. Your longsword. It should be okay for now. And especially if we're turbo stacking Vampirism anyway, our stones are not going to be doing too much. But we'll see. Can we deal with this opponent who's also running hardwood, except they don't exactly have any common weapons, but they're still smashed this down, unfortunately, because they shielded and that shield. So unfortunately, we're going to fall short because of that. I'm going to roll. And we could grab this to get that little bit more in power, which actually I'm going to grab. I'm going to roll for now. And there's a hard container, which we actually really want, really badly. To the point where I actually sell this for 5. And we sell a stone, so we can actually grab this. We're going to want another toad to start stacking up a little bit more luck for us. And we're going to slot this inside too. Now it does mean our bag stones actually can't fit in right now, which is super unfortunate, but it is going to have to be this way for right now. And we might actually want to turbo stack our hard container instead. But we'll see how this goes for now. Are we going to be able to turbo stack arm power like crazy? Our opponent is going to be rocking a bone hour setup. They're going to be doing a lot of flat damage. We're stacking up that power, and now all of a sudden our damage has increased significantly. Especially with that hardwood also. Our DPS has literally shot up to 45 DPS overall. Which is going to be crazy insane. Speaking of crazy insane, we're going to be grabbing this toad. Which is going to be stacking up even more luck. Let's go ahead and grab our misfortune. Let's go ahead and roll once. And we're going to sell our amulet life so we can actually grab this for now. Because we can add misfortune in it like so. And that is going to target the toads. So it should be pretty good. And we're going to move on. And we might actually want to grab Jane's Lamp, because that is going to be stacking up a lot of luck for us too. Now, it might also just be stacking up a lot of spikes first, but we'll see how it goes for now. We got our power stacked up. And all of a sudden, our opponent is life's disappearing. Amazing. Really fantastic. Stacking up in power with hardwood, it's just straight up nuts. Let's go ahead and continue on and try to make it even crazier. Let's grab Jane's Lamp. Let's actually roll for now. We could take a second hard container to try to stack up that in power, which I'm thinking we're going to do. However, we're going to grab this for now. And we can add this in like so. And we could also have crafted up stone golem instead of keeping these stones around, which would have been pretty good too. However, that's also healing herbs, which is going to be fantastic. And we could sell our fool card. However, I'm thinking we're going to take out our leather boots right now, and we're going to move on. Because Jane's Lamp is going to be more consistent luck scaling for us. So it should be pretty good. And again, we're going to be turbo stacking our power like crazy, dealing that big damage. And overall, actually, looking awesome. However, we're very susceptible to big burst damage builds. That's for sure. We're going to grab a hard container, we're going to roll. Another Mrs. Struggles. Now, I wish we had a rope chunk in too. But unfortunately, we're not going to be able to afford to craft it up. We're going to sell our little boots for now. And we're going to roll. And we're going to want a bit of extra storage. And we're going to move on. And we'll see for now. Now, our opponent is going to have a lot of damage, except they're rocking actually a broom. But our DPS is going to turbo scale way faster than theirs. Literally can. So overall, awesome. Now we could change it around and turbo stack a lot of Vampirism with Bloody Harvester. This is probably the right play to turbo stack that Vampirism like crazy. But that's not the aim today. The aim today is to stack up in power with hardwood and see what sort of damage it can do. You could take that glowing crown. For some invulnerability, it is on sale for 6, but don't exactly want that either. We're definitely going to want that stamina sack. And we're going to fit our hard container over in this position for now. We're going to grab our stone. We're going to roll on. Let's roll again. And could potentially just grab this for now. And increase the speed of this hard container alone. And switch this up. We can add our stone. Make our flute go a little bit faster. And that's all we can really do for this round. And we'll see how this goes for now. We should be able to turbo stack 2 hard containers. However, our opponent's going to deal that massive damage. And again, we're very susceptible to big burst damage. Especially with Dancing Dragon. With the Dragon's Nest. Now, this is not a dragon, so it doesn't actually get the effects of Dragon's Nest. But with that stacked up heats, that's going to deal absurd damage. Way more damage than we can actually deal. And we're dealing 60 DPS. Their output is 100 DPS, which is absurd. We just couldn't deal with that for now. Let's roll again. We could grab another heroic potion if we do want to. We could grab Mr. Struggles, place it in here for now. Just to be turbo removing our buffs. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and grab our stamina sack. It is the final round, so we actually probably didn't really necessarily actually need that. But let's roll again. And one final time. But unfortunately, it is going to have to be this way. Now, hardwood being in this spot for our wooden swords, increasing the damage significantly. Now, it doesn't actually work with stones because these are ranged weapons. If it worked with stones, I think this would actually literally be broken. However, our setup right now, turbo stacking and power, which does increase our wooden swords like crazy. We're going to see. This is going to be a fun setup. Can we actually win out? Or are we going to lose? We'll see. Now, our opponent is rocking Nocturnal Arclifter, so they're going to have a ton of healing. So, we could be in a lot of trouble. They're also going to be inflicting a lot of frost with that Ice Dragon. They're also going to be inflicting a lot of debuffs with that Dark Ritual. However, it's not looking too bad for us right now. Our DPS just skyrocketed with that power. And this wooden sword dealing 43 DPS. This wooden sword dealing 43 DPS. And overall smashing. And our DPS in 7 seconds managed to deal just about 600 DPS. Which is just crazy. However, our heals is pretty much non-existent. Our block is pretty much non-existent. So if we're not bursting out opponents within those 10 seconds, we're going to be in a big trouble. Because if our opponent's actually able to burst us down faster, like you see in the previous rounds, we're going to be in big trouble. Now, it was a lot of fun to be turbo stacking power with the hardwood, with our wooden swords, to try and deal that crazy damage. But overall, not too bad. I'm going to leave it here for now. Just want to say thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, or even consider subscribing. And I hope to see you look out for the next one. See you next time.